This is gonna be a cookie. Alright, so I got my head gasket in, multi-layer head gasket. I got my ARP head studs, so we're gonna get the head on. Basically what I'm gonna do is just blow out all these threads where the head studs go with some compressed air just to make sure there's nothing in there. Shouldn't be, but better safe than sorry. And then I got some acetone here. Wipe everything down with that, make sure there's no grease or anything on there. And then we'll drop this guy on, drop the head on, torque it down. So I'm just going to clean up the threads of my studs with brake cleaner and some toothbrushes, and then thread them in with the ARP fastener lube. You gotta put the washers in first because they don't fit through the top. You gotta slide them in from the side here. Alright, so here's the torque sequence. So 22, 59, loosen them all completely, which I don't really understand, but that's what it says to do, so we're going to do it. 18 to 25, and then 62 finally at the end, but we're going to do 70 because that's what it says for the ARP head studs. Alright, we're going back to 23. Alright, so we got the head on. Next step is to do the timing chain. So I got the cams on here. I got to tighten all these down in sequence. I'm not sure, I think it's inside to out, same as the head, but tighten those. I'm going to put some spark plugs in as well, just so nothing drops in there. And then do the timing chain. I'll show you guys how to do that. I was wrong, it's outside to inside for the torque sequence, but I'm gonna have to go get a new torque wrench because you can see there the first step is 1.5 foot-pounds, and then under 10, 8.7, and this one only goes down to 10. So I want everything to be to spec, and the last thing I want to do is strip a bolt in the aluminum head. So yep. Alright, so here's the new torque wrench, just picked up. Jet, pretty nice. Goes from 40 to 250 inch-pounds, which is like 3 to 20 foot-pounds. So it's not even low enough to do 1.4 foot-pounds, so I'm just gonna get them just like basically just slightly snug and then go to 7 foot-pounds. Alright, finally onto the timing chain. I didn't do it yesterday because it was getting kind of late and I work in the morning, but got a couple hours now before ball, so I'm gonna get it done. Hopefully. Should. It's pretty easy. Basically all you have to do is line up the links, the colored links with the dots. So come on. So here's my idler sprocket. You can see that dot right there with white paint on it. That we're gonna line up with one of the links, and then on the bottom, you can't see it there, but there's a dot on this link, or this gear, and the other yellow link goes over that one. So we'll put that on first, and then move on to the upper. The torque specs for the timing guide is 12 foot-pounds and 5 foot-pounds for the tensioners, which is like 60 inch-pounds. So here's my new tensioner. Thankfully it has a pin already in there on both of them. So once I pull that out, it'll just shoot the piston out and put tension on the timing chain. Alright, so we got it on there. I have all the links lined up with the dots. Now it's just a matter of getting the cam gears to slide into the right spot. So I should have showed you, but there's just a groove and a pin, and you got to get the groove to go, or the pin to go into the groove. So if it doesn't go, just not gonna, then we got to mess with the cam. So I'm gonna get an adjustable wrench and just mess with the cams and try to get them to pop on there. So you can see there we have that dot lined up with the black link, dot with the link, and there as well. So now we gotta put the next tensioner on, which goes right there. This guy here. And that looks like it's gonna go on pretty easy. But what can happen is, if mine's pretty much good right now, you can see this side's tight, this side's kind of loose, but this side's really loose. That's what you want, so that you can obviously get your tensioner on there without having this get in the way. Again, 60 inch-pounds on this one. It's like 5 foot-pounds. Alright, so now we can tighten the cam bolts and the idler sprocket bolt. So cam bolts I'm going to be doing at 100 foot-pounds, and then the idler sprocket bolt I'm going to be doing at 65 foot-pounds. You definitely do not want to over-torque this one, because it will strip. That goes straight into the head, which is aluminum, and you'll strip it. This is scary. There we go. That was 55, and I'm not doing any more than that. Alright, so there it is. That's the timing setup there. Really not that difficult. Oh, I gotta pull these pins out now. Also, those guides that used to be here, there used to be one right here and right on top here. I just got rid of those a while ago. I don't even know where they are right now, but apparently they'll just break off, and they're pretty useless. They'll break off and then just get tossed around in there. So we just leave them out. No point in having them. Alright, now we gotta put the timing chain cover on. So I already kind of assembled this a little bit. Well, the oil pump at least. I thought I was filming and I wasn't, but it's pretty easy. Basically, there's 2 gears that you pop in there. They only fit one way, so you can't mess it up. They spin from your oil drive spacer, I think it's called. That slides right in here, and then it will spin and make pressure and come out of here. So put those 2 gears in, cover on, torque it down, put the oil pickup on, and then I press the seal in on the front here. New oil seal. So now all we gotta do is put some liquid gasket or RTV all around here. Just like that. Got some new stuff right here. And then you gotta put this little O-ring in here. Definitely don't want to forget this. Your oil pump pumps right through there and out of there, so I'm assuming if you forget this, then you'll have really low oil pressure, or it'll just shoot out the side or something. So gotta make sure you put that in there. just a little tight, that's all. Alright, so today at work, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking when I was hitting this, I wasn't thinking about that little gasket that's in there, and that's not even really held in there by anything, so I thought I'd better look for it, make sure that it's still in there, and sure enough, found it on the floor. So, I gotta pull this thing off and redo it, which sucks. So, don't do that. Alright, so the other day I finished with the timing chain cover, got it on there with the O-ring in there for sure. Took like an hour to take all that gasket off of there. It wasn't completely dry, so it wasn't terrible, but a lot of it was dry. Pretty much wherever it was in contact with air was dry. So I already flipped it over. I want to get the oil pan on now, but before we do that, we got to put the crank seal on here. So to do that, we got the new seal here, and I've read multiple things. Some people just put them in dry, some people use oil, some people use grease, some people use Loctite. I'm going to use Loctite because it makes the most sense to me. Some people say with oil it'll pop right out, which I don't really believe that, but Loctite just makes sense to me because it should be sealing around there, and Loctite will harden. And I don't really want to put it in dry, so. But before we do that, if you look at the crank here, you can see little grooves in there, or I can, maybe, I don't know if you can. But we don't want those little grooves there. So what we're going to do is take some, I read 800 grit sandpaper, but I don't have any 800. 1200's the lowest I have. So I'm going to use that and just go over it, try to get rid of those grooves. Give it a nice clean surface for the seal to ride on. And then we'll press this in, put some gasket around the edge, and get it on there. Alright, you guys, so I was gonna put my upper timing chain cover on. My camera died, but I torqued all that down below and flipped it over. So anyways, I was gonna put that on, but I realized these holes aren't really lined up on the head gasket, and I can't thread these bolts in on any of them. So pretty much I'm gonna have to cut them. I could either like drill them out and make them bigger. Well, first I could take it all apart and adjust it. So that's what I would recommend if you, when you're putting your head gasket on, put it on, then thread these bolts in so that they're centered, because there's a little bit of wiggle room in that. I obviously wasn't really paying attention to it, but what I'm gonna do is just cut the small, like, just cut what I need. So just like this little quarter right here out of all of them, and it should fix the problem. So I'm just using some tin snips, some nice sharp ones. Okay, so I finally got that cover on, which really sucked. I had to snip them. I tried using a Dremel to just open it up a bit with a razor blade beneath so I didn't damage this timing cover, but it didn't end up working. The Dremel actually broke. It doesn't work. So I just had to cut it, but ended up working. So we'll get the valve cover on and then this thing will be sealed up. So I got a new valve cover gasket, but you still have to put RTV right in these grooves. Alright, so we got the valve cover on, and that's pretty much it. Now we try to put all the random brackets on, water pump. I need a thermostat, I don't have one right now. Yeah, and then the manifolds, and we're done.